But I want to find out from him. Critics claim that he's intensified the pursuit of Ken Ofori Atta since President Mahama's 2025 inauguration. It smacks of political revenge against Akufo Addo's era. How will he counter this? Is it purely accountability?
That's very interesting. I mean, Ken Ofori Atta is not the only person we are pursuing. All right. The oral agenda, he was a key part of the regime. All right. So if, for instance, you take the National Cathedral, for instance, Ken was at the heart of it. Okay. He came and announced it as part of the budget. And I was the first person in Parliament, all right, to condemn the concept of the National Cathedral. You did condemn I was you can ask the Honorable Okujeta Blakwa. I raised red flags and I said, I said, for instance, why are we committing $100 million to build, a national cathedral?
But when it's a house of God, or it's a house for God.
The God doesn't need that house.
God doesn't?
The kingdom of God is the rule of God in the hearts of men. That is the kingdom of God. When you do the will of God, when you take care of your neighbor, when you you visit the people who are in prison, when you give people who are thirsty water to drink, you give food to those who are hungry, the kingdom of God has come.
But we need a place of worship. Why are there temples there? Why are there mosques?
You can pray in your house. All right.
Yes.
I do go to church. All right. But that is a private establishment by the Catholic Church. So every parish that where we have a church, or every outstation where we have a church, is a diocese that builds the church. It's not the state that builds it for us. Okay. There is a Washington cathedral. There's a national cathedral in Washington. All right. Go back and do the research. It was not built by the federal government. It was built through a private fundraising, and that was the initial concept. But of course, when Ken Ofori Atta announced that the state was going to give land and then a seed capital of about, I think, did he say 100 million? That was when I raised the red flags and I said, God did not need this type of house. Go and build schools for deprived communities, provide them with water. I said it if you go back to this in the Hansa, it was very clear. I said
it was captured.
Yeah, it was captured. I said God doesn't need this facility that we are going to build. So he was at the heart of it. All right. All the payments to the, for instance, the architect, okay, were made by Ken Ofori Atta.
Is that on record? Yes. Were authorized by Ken Ofori Atta?
They were authorized by him. He was the finance minister, and who else would have paid $47 million to an architect for this work without, the finance minister clearing it? So that was, so he was at the heart of some of the things that we are investigating. All right. And I'm not pursuing him for any personal reasons. I have nothing against him or his family or the Akufo Addo government. Okay. But we are just pursuing an agenda of exacting accountability for things that have happened in our republic.
And now he's facing 78 count of, indictment over 1.4 billion Ghana cedis loss. We talk about the SML contract.
Yeah.
You mentioned the National Cathedral project. What specific evidence links him to this? You said it's a criminal enterprise.
All right.
And how's your office coordinating with the OSP?
Oh, we have coordinating very well. Our role in the whole of this was to help the OSP, to transmit the extradition request to the Americans, and it's working really very well. So
will he be brought to Ghana? Here and now at 5 minutes to 8. What do you know? Will he be brought? Yesterday we saw a news item.
Yes, he will be. He will be. Look, the possibility is very high. The possibility is very high. And he could either self-deport or face, deportation by the immigration judge on January 20th. Yes. So after the hearing, we will get to know what orders the judge made regarding his immigration status. But it's more serious than I have, put out. But
it's more serious.
But at the appropriate time, I don't want to announce
But what scoop can you give? Because you owe it to Ghanaians to just give us a wind of what. How serious is this?
No,
AG?
it's very serious. It's very serious. It's more serious than I have divulged at this point in time. So at this point, it will stay at a level of my briefing the president.
How will you ensure that due process for somebody like Ken Ofori Atta, a statesman, a former finance minister, whom you've urged to come home and recuperate? Those were your words.
Yes.
How will you ensure that due process is followed? Because many feel that, well, you are going after, he can be tried in absentia. So why the rush?
No, but, well, he can be tried in absentia. All right. That is true. But it is better when he comes to, to answer. When he's here, physically present, and made to answer for whatever charges have been leveled against him by the Office of the Special Prosecutor. And I also mentioned that there are other investigations that are going on. So it's not only the SML investigation, which has been conducted by the OSP, that links Ken Ofori Atta to issues of accountability or alleged acts of criminality. There are other investigations that I am undertaking, that will be announced at the appropriate time.
Still on his person?
Yes. And for transactions linked to him. So
because we heard from his legal team, and you said that they are in touch with you in your interview on Newsfile on Joy FM. You mentioned it. But his legal team calls the U.S. detention an ambush, tied to medical treatment, because we know the clinic that he is at. While Ghana is also insisting he's a fugitive, where do we draw the line between health rights and evading maybe a corruption probe?
Well, I mean, you have the right, to to take access health facilities to take care of yourself, because you have the right to life, and if you do not take care of your physical health, all right, that can imperil your life as a person. So yes, Ken Ofori Atta has his right to health. However, all right, he also owes it to the people of this country, having held an office of public trust, okay, to answer for his actions in that office. If he's innocent, he'll be acquitted and discharged by the courts of this country. All right, and Article 19 of the Constitution guarantees his right to a fair trial. And I have said, and I want to repeat it here, that I will not, superintend a system that will end run the fair trial rights of anyone.
And you stand by this?
And I stand by it. I will not in any way imperil his right to a fair trial. If he even self-deports and come to Ghana, we'll treat him with a lot of dignity. He's a former finance minister of this republic. In fact, I used to, say that when our current finance minister was undergoing trial, okay, I used to tell, my predecessor and his people, I used to tell them that, look, you have to be careful. Treat him with the dignity that he deserves, because he was the
leader. Told former Attorney General Godfrey Dami that?
Yeah. So, I think that in the current circumstances, okay, I want to assure Ghanaians and to assure the family of Ofori Atta that when he is brought to Ghana, or when he voluntarily, comes to Ghana, he will be treated with dignity and accorded his fair trial rights, before the law, the courts of Ghana.
Right. Well, we have this on tape, and we take you for your word.
Take
Dr.
Ayene. Yes, please take me for my word.
Right. Chumberma says, good evening and happy birthday, though belated to Dr. Ayene. Also, Ken Kaka says that I am listening to you, Bolare, great one. We are in Takwa, and we've gathered, connected live. I want to wish AG Minister Dr. Dominic Ayene belated 60th birthday. And my question is, when are we going to see him jail corrupt people who's caused financial loss to the state? That's from Ken Kaka in Takwa.
Yes.
People feel that you are being slow. You are not really moving. Do you get to hear? You've said it in your press conference.
Yes, I have said so, and this is a message that I get all the time about So first of all right, Bola, I don't jail people. I'm not the one responsible for jailing people. All right, it is the judiciary that makes a decision as to whether somebody goes to jail. I put the evidence and the law before the judges. All right, but I must do so based upon dockets that have been built through painstaking investigation of allegations of wrongdoing. Now, when you take, I mean, I don't want to say this for people to think that I'm down putting anyone in the past, but I don't think any attorney general, you can go back and check, has filed more criminal cases in his first year than I have done.
Really? So yes. It's on record.
It's on record in terms of investigating and finding. I mean, what do I call it? Investigating and filing cases.
No attorney general in Ghana
has filed in terms of the politics, of investigating corruption within the public sector and filing cases. You can go back and check. As we speak, I have. I think 6 cases, going on live, and some of them are quite advanced. Okay, and I have 16 dockets that are yet to be, placed before the courts. Some of them I'm reviewing them and asking for more evidence from the investigators.
16,
right? Yes, all right. But people are anxious because of the level of corruption that we. Or let me say, alleged acts of corruption that we saw in the last 8 years. All right. And they think that I am the one who has to make the decision whether or not somebody goes to jail. I don't make that decision. I place the evidence before the judges, and the judges make that decision. And of course, you just refer to the Constitution. The Constitution requires that people get a fair trial, meaning that, there has to be due process. Okay, there has to be, what do I call it? They have to be given all the opportunities to defend themselves. And when you are facing jail of 10 to 15, 20 years, you're not going to take it lying down. You will have to fight back. All right. So what is happening now is in accord with the letter and spirit of the Constitution. And I'm not going to rush anybody through. In fact, I don't even have the power to rush anything through now, except that, of course, once I am prepared, once my, prosecutors are in court and prepared with their evidence, the trial can go on and proceed to, to judgment.
Attorney General, will you say that the calls from these people are well placed? They are germane, they are genuine?
Well, they are genuine calls, right? The question whether they are germane is another one, all right? Because genuineness in the sense that these are citizens who are responding to the situation that we find ourselves as a country. They are genuinely concerned, about the fact that accountability is being slow, all right? And I don't want to always sound like I'm placing blame on the judicial system, but if you compare what happens in other jurisdictions, our courts are relatively slow, all right, and for good reason. Sometimes, for instance, yesterday, one of the judges had to take an adjournment because the courtroom was so hot, the air condition had broken down, and then she had to adjourn the case. Okay, those are some of the circumstances. And that's a genuine concern because if she's not feeling very comfortable working in that environment, she will have to adjourn the case. All right, so that happens. But Bola, if you want, you can do some research on, let's say, a summary trial in the US. It doesn't take less than 1 year for a summary trial a trial on indictment that is like a first degree felony, murder, robbery and the rest of them, and white collar crimes that are really, serious offenses, all right, such as racketeering. They can take up to 3 to 4 years to resolve, and that is even America. All right. Now, I noticed that when the FBI is making a request to me to extradite someone here who has, committed offenses that have affected Americans, all right, I look at what the bill of indictment, and the investigation would have taken 6 years. All right, 6 years.
So with the extradition that we saw happening now,
yes,
it didn't start.
No.
Oh,
and they are so painstaking that sometimes they will even allow you to come into America, interact with your your co-conspirators and the persons who are committing the crimes with you, leave America, come, you will not even know that you are being trailed. All right. And they do this painstakingly for 6 years before they then say, okay, now we have sufficient evidence to approach the Ghanaian authorities to extradite this person. Okay. In our case, you do an investigation. So, for instance, the oral report was presented to me in February. All right. By May, June last year, people were saying that I was slow. How do you expect me to?
Did that get you worried?
It got me worried because, you see, the oral was at the heart of, our campaign. Okay. Now, I didn't foresee that in the execution, people will be so impatient. And it's probably because of their lack of understanding of how the judicial system works. In fact, some people, some of my colleagues used to say that the oral report has given me low-hanging fruits. Low-hanging fruits.
Yes,
that
exactly.
And all that I needed to do was to pluck the fruits. And then,
but that is not the case.
But that is not the case. Okay, so if you have bare-boned, allegations of wrongdoing, all right, they may be credible, and some are proving to be very credible now. We have the drip investigation, we have SkyTrain, and so on and so forth. Right. Now, you need to put the flesh to the bones in order that it will make sense before a judge. Because remember that the standard of proof in a criminal case is beyond reasonable doubt. So if I take the allegations and place them before a judge, they will be dismissed. And when they are dismissed, the same Ghanaians who are urging me to hurry up will say that he didn't do his work well and then he went to court and failed.
Interesting. Doctor, you warned and you mentioned that 2026 will be different with potential 20 billion recoveries targeted. Which scandals like PDS or National Cathedral will see charges first?
No. So, okay, fees. First of all, I was asked about the 20 billion.
Yes.
When we are going to see the 20 billion recovered. And I said it is a projection. It was a projection by the oral committee, the oral committee chairperson, the Honorable Okujedo
Before you came into power.
Before we came into power. When we came into power. In fact, it was on the day that the oral report was being handed over to me that he mentioned the figure.
Correct.
The 20.1 billion. But of course, that figure was based upon his own calculation of, the sums that were involved. So, for instance, if you take, let's say, drip, all right, the figure involved there is over $100 and something million, right? When you take the value of lands that were, allegedly looted, they estimate the land in cantonments is what, 500,000 a plot.
Yeah.
So what he did was basically a back of the envelope type of calculation, and that is the figure that he put out. Now he has put a heavy load on my head because now everyone expects me to bring in, 20 billion. Yes, but
is that the case from where you sit?
No, from where I sit, it may be up to 20 billion. It may be up to 20 billion if you take the funds we are tracing offshore, into account, because a lot of monies were moved out. Offshore. All right, and but if you take what is in country, the kinds of things we are looking at now, so if you take, let's say the buffer stock matter is 78 million Ghana cedis, that's like $7.8 million. Right, or there's $7 million. If you take another $7 million from Eduboahin, $2 million from SkyTrain, and so on and so forth, I do not think that you go up to 21 billion. But the offshore transactions are the ones that we are tracing, and we are thinking that those will be very huge ones.
Wow.
Yeah.
You've assured Ghanaians that oral recoveries will start flowing this year.
Yes, this year.
Can you give us specific timeline for the first public payout? And which cases will lead them?
I cannot. At this point in time, I cannot say that by February or by June. Yes, but hopefully we should be able. I mean, as I said on Saturday that the GRA, the Ghana Revenue Authority, has confirmed a figure of 22 million as being the figure that was the tax evasion in the drip scandal. So definitely
plus a $2 million overpayment.
Overpayment, yes. So those ones, I know. I'm close to taking action to recover those ones.
What happens to the company that has admitted to warehouse tax exempting goods? Because you're saying they are close to taking the money from them. Is that it?
Which company?
I mean, in the drip scandal,
yes.
They said that 22 million in confirmed tax evasion.
Evasion, yes.
Yes.
Yes. So we are close to taking the money from them. But the warehousing issue is in relation to a letter that they wrote in March, right? They wrote a letter in March to GRA saying that the goods that had been cleared into the National Customs Territory, instead of going into a bonded warehouse, should now be accepted and warehoused. All right. So that letter, if you take those goods, they are like, I think the value of tax there is about 17.5 million. I mean, 17.5 million. Then you take those that were not supposed to be warehouses, about 5-point-something million. So that's why we have a little over 22 million to collect from them.
And they are ready to pay, or you're going for that
I mean,
money.
I'm going after them for it. I mean, nobody. But of course, this is a liability that has been established.
Yes.
All right. So either they bring me a check for 22 million, in excess of 22 million CDs, or they, get prosecuted or I go to court and then seize their properties.
Right.
Yes.
Daniel Domlevo warns oral must stay hot.
Yes.
To keep public trust.
Yes.
How do you respond to criticisms that it's more political rhetoric than action?
No.
Nearly a year in,
yes.
You listen to people on the streets, on radio, and they feel that. And you mentioned that earlier. You are closing in. You say.
Yes. Okay. So I am a little bit, shocked. I said it on Saturday that my own brother Domlevo is saying that we're not staying hot, right? I don't know what kinds of actions they want me to take that will show that oral is hot. I'm prosecuting people in court, all right. I'm investigating people, all right. The only thing is that Bola, I don't, for instance, make a great show of the investigations. Right. In 2017, all right, the NPP made a great show of all the investigations. I mean, people like my brother Kojo Kyeremanteng were being dragged to EOCO, and then it was being leaked to the media. Okay, so every day they were, so for instance, when they came to my house in July 2017, to arrest me, because they said I had signed the Ameri deal. I was part of the group that signed the Ameri deal, and they were suspecting that corruption might have occurred there. When they came to arrest me, it didn't take 30 minutes after the police left, and OKFM, all the FM stations were reporting the fact that myself, Jinapor, Dr. Kwabena, this in Donko, had been, arrested. Okay, so they made a show of it. So it was, always in the news that NDC politicians are being investigated. I don't make a show of what is happening. So people are called quietly to, let's say, the NIB or BNI, or they are taken to, EOCO. Look, when Wuntumi was arrested, okay, it was the nature of the arrest that made it public. He would have been taken in without anybody, knowing.
Really?
Yeah. He would have, no, we invited him several times, and then.
So why was there a media,
No, it was the way he
carnival
himself,
around it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was the way he himself, responded to the situation that resulted in this Rambo-style arrest at the police head office, because we had invited him.
Other than that, it would have been done quietly.
Oh, it would have been done quietly. You
said that not all oral cases will go to court.
That is so. Yeah.
Under what conditions would you opt for settlement over prosecutions?
Okay, so first of all, I mean, that statement also relates to cases where we may not find enough evidence to go to court. In other words, I'm being, realistic that in some of the allegations that were made, we may end up not finding, and that is coming up in respect of some of those cases. And before I conclude, I make a decision, I would not want to announce it on this show that, right. Some of them are going to be dropped. Right. However,
but some of them will be dropped because of
because of lack of evidence.
You didn't get any evidence.
In some cases, yes. In some cases, yes. It's turning out that the allegations were not very well founded.
Was it a wild goose chase?
I wouldn't say so. They were credible.
Okay.
Things had happened.
But why?
But whether or not criminality occurred is a different matter altogether. Right. So that's what I mean. Okay. But as to dropping some of the cases in court, that's a decision that will be made if there are offers from the other side, that is from the accused persons, that are attractive enough for me to say that, look, I will accept the offer and then either drop the charges.
Okay.
Or you plead guilty to the charge and then make restitution and you get a non-custodial sentence.
Wow.
That is possible under Section 35.
So all is that all that
those
can
are
happen.
Those are all
to be considered.
Options. Those are all options. But you see, again, I had said, in one of my press conferences that I was open-minded when it came to plea bargaining, and then I got bashed because Ghanaians want people to see people going to jail.
You think that many Ghanaians didn't understand you when you made that?
No, I don't think they understood me. I don't think they understood. You see, when the plea bargaining bill came to Parliament, all right, I was one of its strongest supporters, okay, because I believe that the criminal justice system must have inbuilt flexible mechanisms for the state to be able to exact restitution and in some cases retribution, all right, without necessarily, going to as far as putting people to jail, all right. So sometimes you can cut a deal that inures to the benefit of the state and the public, all right, without necessarily having to take somebody to jail.
And you are ready to do that?
Yes, I'm ready to do that.
Well, Dr. Ernest, listening to us in Finland, and we're live and clear there, says that, Bola, ask Dr. Ayine, is he better because of the arrest or possible arrest when he was in opposition in 2017? He's building a case. Yeah. He wants me to ask you that, are you better and you are going after people?
No. Bola, I'm never bitter about anything. In fact, I don't have a room in my heart for bitterness. All right, I am a very forgiving person. I forgive and I move on.
Wow.
So I'm not bitter against anybody.
So for people painting that picture that you are ruthless, you are after some people and all of that. You are saying that that's not who you are.
I'm just doing my job.
Okay.
I'm just doing my job, and I will do it to every job that is given to me. I want to do it to the best of my ability, and that is what I'm doing. And because I am firm, all right, and like a no-nonsense person, people tend to think that I'm being ruthless. But no, I'm not being ruthless. I don't have the heart for ruthlessness.
Thanks for watching. Like and share the video. You can also drop your comment. Please don't forget to subscribe. Click on the bell to turn on the notification.